welcome to episode 2 of Young Adult Problems. We made it this far, guys. Episode 2. Let's go. So today I want to talk about something that's honestly been on my mind for the longest time. It's been affecting my life for a while, and that is feeling left out. Feeling left out is shitty. And unfortunately, a lot of us have experienced feeling left out within our friend groups. Whether it's a small group of 3 people and you're the person who's left standing in the corner because the other 2 friends are besties and have inside jokes that you don't understand, or whether it's a group of 10 people and you're the only person who didn't get the memo that there was a lunch happening and you were the only one not invited, come to find out they're all spending time without you. It sucks. It really does. You know, it can be your middle school friends who you've grown up with, who decided at some time, for some reason, to not hang out with you. It could be your high school friends or your college friends, or even your friends who you've made after college. No matter what the circumstance is, feeling left out is always going to hurt. And I think for me personally, one of the hardest things about being left out is seeing it on social media. I mean, you can be laying in bed, casually checking Find My Friends, only to see that all of your friends are in the same location except for you. You may have never gotten the memo. No one told you that there was a hangout going on. And you're sitting there almost feeling empty because nobody even bothered to invite you. Or you might be checking Snapchat and one of your friends posts on their private story that you're a part of. And the private story is of all of your friends having a great time. And you're like, huh? What? I didn't know about this. Even Instagram. They could be posting stories on their Instagram, on the feed, taking cute pictures or whatever. And you're not a part of that. And it's like a shock to the system, followed by a pit of emptiness in your stomach. Because it makes you think, what's wrong with me? Did they purposely not invite me because I'm annoying? And if I'm annoying, what can I do to change that? How have I been annoying them? Or do they just not invite me at all and not remember to invite me because I literally make no impact and they don't care about me? It's so many thoughts can go through your head when you're feeling left out, and it can be emotionally exhausting. And when it keeps happening, there's a point at which you can get fed up, you know? Me, I'm not the type of person to confront people about things. I'm actually scared of confrontation, and I also just get a lot of anxiety. I try to be as drama-free as possible because it just makes me so stressed and anxious, and if I think somebody hates me, then my thoughts will spiral, you know? And so, for me, it's hard to say something if I'm feeling left out, you know? Sometimes you don't want to say anything. You don't want to be the cause of drama. You don't want to be a burden on your friends who seem to be having such a good time. You don't want to be invited to these friend hangouts out of pity because you brought up the fact that you haven't been invited. So then what happens, you know? What happens when you just let it be, and when you don't do anything and you continuously don't get invited? It really takes a toll on your mental health. For me, instead of saying something, I would lay in bed and cry every time I saw them together. I would think to myself for hours, what is it that's so wrong with me that nobody wants me to be there? Is there something I can change? Then I'll point out all these things that I think are annoying about me that could be impacting them. And it's just a toxic spiral of thoughts that go through my head, and that's not healthy, you know? We shouldn't be going through this spiral of toxic thoughts. When I was in college, it was very hard for me to make friends. My first and second year, when college was still in person before the pandemic, I had no friends. I became very reclusive and very introverted, and my social anxiety spiked to a whole new level. So it was just very hard for me to make friends. Not to say that I didn't want to make friends. I so deeply wanted to make friends. I really did. And I really did try. I tried very hard, but it like wasn't working out for me. So I was pretty much alone in college when it came to friends. But fortunately, during the pandemic, when all of our classes were moved to online, this had reconnected me to my OG high school friend group who I ate lunch with every day, who I did everything with. Because we had went to different colleges, we had all gone our separate ways, experienced life on our own, made new friends. But once the pandemic hit and we were all at home again, we all reconnected. We all started messaging each other. We all started FaceTiming each other. And suddenly I didn't feel so alone. And so because I was really sad about not having friends in college, like I didn't really have people to talk to, I was so happy to see that my OG high school friend group had reunited. We can call them Sam, Jenny, and Kate. Those are their code names. I had asked them to come visit me in college once things started going back to in person, and we had a great hangout. And later that summer, I had asked if they wanted to go to LA because it had been so long since any of us traveled. And so we all ended up going to LA, and it was a great moment. And I just remember sitting at the table thinking to myself, I'm so grateful for this group of friends. I really am. I was like reflecting in the moment as we were eating dinner at 4 a.m. LOL. I was reflecting on the fact that I had a group of friends to talk to, and I had just been really happy about that. And so that was great. And then we came back home, and it was summer, and then things started to fall apart for me. A week later, my friend Kate invited me and Sam to go visit our friend Jenny in another city. I'm sorry if these names are confusing. Please bear with me. Unfortunately, that weekend I couldn't go because it was Father's Day, so I was like, oh, is it okay if we do next week? Like, I can't go this week. And they were like, yeah, that's totally fine. Like, let's move it to next week. I remember that week I was texting Jenny, who, we were supposed to visit. I texted her something along the lines of, can't wait to grab food next week or whatever. And she was like, yeah, I'm super excited. Fast forward to the next week. No one had made any plans, so I just assumed that the event wasn't happening anymore because my friends do tend to get pretty busy. So I just assumed, there wasn't going to be a hangout anymore. We weren't going to go visit Jenny. But I check Find My Friends just for fun, and I see that they're all visiting Jenny without me. And I suddenly felt a pit in my stomach because I was like, we all planned to visit her this week together, and then they went without me. But part of me was like, it's okay. I mean, I don't need to be included in everything. Maybe they just forgot. So I really just tried to brush it aside. It was whatever. And then the next week happened. The same thing happened. They went to visit Jenny and they didn't include me. And I was really hurt by this one because, we all had just been in LA together. And suddenly I was being left out of these hangouts. And this is the first time I actually broke down because of it. I was like, oh my gosh, they probably hate me. Like, why do they keep hanging out without me? And I realized that every time I wasn't the one planning the hangout, I was never invited. The only hangouts that I was ever invited to were the ones that I invited people to. No one had to invite me because I was the one in charge of them. But when I wasn't in charge, nobody remembered me. One of the friends in the group, Sam, would send me screenshots of their own separate group chat, of the group chat between Jenny, Sam, and Kate. In my head, I was like, okay, I'm not even in this group chat. Like, y'all keep talking in it, and I'm not in it. One particular person in the group, Jenny, things that she had done would really get to me. She would say to me, hey, we should go to this dessert place. Like, it would be so good. Let's go to Dave & Buster's, me and you. Only to find out that the next week, she invited everyone except for me to the dessert place. And I think that hurt me the most because, prior to being left out, she had a one-on-one conversation with me, and we were talking about, her life and some personal things to her. And she said, we're super close because I'm telling you this. And she crossed her fingers. And I was like, okay, you a homie, girl. Like, you a homie. That's what I was thinking. And to go from that to just being used as emotional support for her was hard. She would only talk to me about the things she wanted to talk about. I was basically her therapist. I was seriously only used as emotional support. And every time the conversation happened to be something about me or how I was doing, the conversation died. My friend would never respond. She would only respond if she had something to add about her. For example, if I would be like, "How are you?" 3 days later, she would say, "I'm good. Oh, by the way, I just went on this date with a guy and let me tell you about it." And so that's what our friendship had become. She had stopped inviting me to all of the other friend hangouts. So I was merely being used as a therapist, and I was being left out of all of these group hangouts. And for some reason, no one else in the group, not Sam, not Kate, none of them realized that I was being left out. And it went on. It went on, and they had so many hangouts without me. I mean, they would invite distant friends, but not me. They would invite people they hadn't spoken to in years, but not me. And the funny thing is, I don't think they did it because with malicious intent. They had just forgotten about me, which just sucks as much as intentionally not being invited. Being forgotten, like, that hurts. And it went on because I was too afraid to say anything. I was too afraid to cause drama. Now, fast forward to 2 years later. This was pretty recently, actually. I think it was in September of 2022. That was the day I exploded. My friend, Sam, had messaged me yet another screenshot of their separate group chat. And in that group chat, it was Jenny who had asked the group, "Hey, are you guys free to hang out this weekend?" And I was particularly angry when I saw that question because she had texted me separately the day of to talk about all of her problems. That morning, she had texted me a ton to talk about all of her problems. And to go from texting me about all of her problems to asking the group that doesn't include me to hang out, I was just like, we literally talked this morning and you're asking everyone except for me to hang out? I was really hurt by that. But I could only tell one person about how I felt, and that was Sam. Other than the fact that she didn't remember to invite me to these group hangouts, I didn't think she was doing it on purpose, and I felt like I just needed to bring it up to her. I needed to bring it to her attention. And so I did. After she sent me the screenshot, I told her exactly how I felt. I told her I had been feeling left out for the past 2 years. I don't like seeing your group chat screenshots because it hurts to see that you guys are continuously having conversations without me. I had thought you guys were my main friends and a group that I could truly trust after we hung out so many times together. But then I realized that these hangouts would only happen according to my plans. And if anyone else had made the plans, I was never invited. I told her I felt like I was being used for just like as an emotional support buddy, and I just exploded because I had spent 2 years crying about it. I had spent 2 years beating myself up over the fact that I'm not a likable person, and that's not a healthy thought. If you're doing that, I guess one of the biggest lessons here is that if something is off, tell your friends as soon as possible. This was something I didn't do and I should have done. And if they're truly your friends, they will understand. If, I don't know, there was some disconnect and they haven't been doing it on purpose, bring the issue to light. If they have been doing it on purpose, then you know to drop them, But don't let feeling left out eat you up. I really let it take a toll on my mental health for 2 years. And it brought me to a really lonely, even lonelier than I was in college without any friends to begin with. It made me feel really lonely. And I think the second biggest takeaway is to stand up for yourself. Lessons learned here, don't be a pushover. I took all the BS that they were giving me. And I think that's because if you keep letting the issues persist, they're going to eat you up. And friendships aren't supposed to do that. They're supposed to be a way for you to have fun. They're supposed to be a way for you to bond with people, to grow relationships with people, to talk to people about things that you might not feel comfortable talking about with other people. They're supposed to be there for you when you need them to be there for you. And so stand up for yourself and find more confidence in yourself. Really, don't be a pushover like I was. And I know it's easier said than done. I think lesson number 3 is that if you know that this is a toxic friendship and you do not want any part of it anymore and it's consuming your mental health and you're exhausted, just be strong enough to walk away. Excuse me, I just burped. Don't stick with them. Be strong enough to walk away. Be strong enough to move on. Because at the end of the day, what are they doing for you, right? They're doing nothing for you except making you feel ways that you shouldn't be feeling. And it's not a bad thing to walk away. It's really doing what's best for you. And honestly, you're doing what's best for them because they don't deserve you. You know what I mean? It's okay that you walk away from your friends, and you might not have many friends at the moment, but you will find the right friends come the right time. It's better to have no friends at all than to have friends whose actions are making you feel miserable. It's not worth it. And so I think those are my 3 biggest takeaways from all of this. Feeling left out for so long can be burdensome. And eventually we need to get out of this burden and step away and move on, because life is so much more than whatever your friends may or may not think of you. Fortunately, for me, today's status is that my friend Sam, who I exploded to, she was understanding. She didn't realize I was feeling this way, because a lot of the times maybe they're too busy to realize, which does hurt too, but sometimes it needs to be brought to life because everybody's going through their own things in life and they're too distracted to be thinking, noticing, oh, this person's not here at this time. You know what I mean? So I brought it to light. I spoke about it with Sam. We had a long conversation. She was totally understanding. As for Jenny, I've decided to distance myself because I do not deserve to be used as emotional support. And so I'm really grateful for Sam. I'm glad that I was able to speak about it, 2 years later. And what pushed me to speak about it was the fact that I was going to a Joji concert and I didn't want to have this thought dwelling in my head. And that really pushed me over the edge. I was like, no, I am going to have a good time at Joji. I am not going to think about this during the concert. And that's really that is what pushed me over the edge. But girl, do not wait. Do not wait that long. Just do it when you need to do it and things will get better faster. And I know I keep saying this. Honestly, it feels good talking about it because I had held all of my thoughts in about this for so long. And so if you got through, thank you for listening. I really hoped this helped someone listening, someone out there who's dealing with friendship, hardships, whatever it may be. I hope this helped you. And yeah, let's all go get a snack because I'm quite hungry from doing all this speaking. That was a horrible accent. Okay, that is my sign to go. Thank you for listening to Young Adult Problems episode 2, and I will catch you on the flip side. That's what my friend says. It's funny.